Hi, George. It's Amanda Tyler from BJC. I know I'm missing the big party tonight, but I didn't want to miss the opportunity to say congratulations as you celebrate 30 years of pastoring Wilshire Baptist Church. You are such an example of how to build authentic interfaith relationships. You have been a pastor not only to your congregation at Wilshire, but really to the entire community in Dallas. And that sets such a great example for faith leaders across this country. I am so excited about our future collaborations, including with the newly formed Baptist House at SMU, to future ways that we can work together. But tonight, I'm just here to say congratulations.
So we thank you for all the ways you have led us and the way your partnership with your congregation has inspired us. George, I want to thank you for the gift you've given me of your friendship, for the ways you invited me even years ago to join with you in imagining new ways to call people into the gospel ministry. I want to thank you for the encouragement you've offered as I've begun this new calling. But most of all, I just want to say to you and to the wonderful people of Wilshire Baptist Church, congratulations on a wonderful journey of faith together.
So, George Mason, 30th anniversary, Wilshire Baptist Church.
30 years is a long time.
It's a long time.
Anywhere. That's very cool, very exciting. So no matter how old we are, George is older.
He is, but he married young.
Yeah, and that's good.
And over his head, I might
Absolutely.
add. So, I think playing quarterback was part of his training to get him here.
Yeah, if you think about it, George has kind of been a quarterback in mainstream or mainline Baptist life for a long time.
Yeah, it can't get any worse than having linebackers chasing you down physically on the field.
So I think what we're saying is we are really glad that George has been the quarterback in Baptist life, and we're glad he's still doing it and look forward to many years ahead. And so congratulations, George.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
I think of the passage where the Apostle Paul talks about his friend Apollos, and he said, I planted and Apollos watered, but it was God who gave the increase. And so I think of our relationship in that way, that it's been this cultivating, gardening ministry that we've been involved in our lives together. It's a team effort. It's an effort of friends. And I especially also want to give thanks to the good people at Wilshire who've been generous in being able to allow you to be a part of not only the friendships and the work that you've done here with us at Duke Divinity School, but in all the other places. The church, the whole world is richer and better because of you, my friend. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
4 days after 9/11, George brought us calm and a reason to celebrate when he performed our daughter's wedding.
Once a family of 4 generations, currently 3 generations. Through it all, George has been a pastor to each one of us, showing compassion, care, and love. He's dedicated, baptized, married, and buried. George, congratulations on your 30th. We love you.
Love you.
Love you.
George, you baptized our 2 sons together. You carried our family and our church through the toughest spiritual journey of our lives, and you've helped our family through every up and down. Thank you for being our pastor. Thank you for being our counselor. Thank you for being our friend. Happy anniversary.
George has been a pastor to both of my families. He baptized all 4 of my sisters and I. He gave us all our first Bibles. He's been our pastor throughout my entire life. And then more recently, he married me and Michael and has continued to be our pastor now that I'm back in Dallas with my new husband.
I made a list mentally of all the things that George has accomplished in the 30 years he's been here. But choosing just one accomplishment was a hard task. So I chose something that happened when he first came, and that was allowing women to be deacons in our church. Many have served, even some as the chairperson. We appreciate you, George.
Thank you, George, for all the times you've been with us, with our whole family during times of stress, as our pastor as well as our friend.
Thank you, George, for all the times you've been with us step by step through every crisis in our family. We love you. You know how many crises we've had. Thank you.
George, I really appreciate you making everyone feel welcome, especially the visitors and the new members. And I'm always so proud when I speak with people to call you my pastor. Thank you, George.
George did the wedding ceremony for our daughter and son-in-law. Now, he did come to a Methodist church, but the special thing about George with his wedding ceremony is that he makes it personal for the bride and groom. And he especially centered in on that our son-in-law was a lawyer and he talked about contracts. And to this day, they both feel like they had the most wonderful wedding ceremony anybody could have, thanks to George.
George has made a huge impact on my family by being there for us during a really difficult time in our lives. And I'll never forget, he walked up to me in the hospital and whispered in my ear that the bottom would always hold. And that got us through that really tough period, and I'll remember it for the rest of my life.
George has always been a pastor to our family by helping us to discern ministerial calls, even when they may not look like what we see or think they should look like.
The very first Sunday that my husband and I came to this church, it was a cold, nasty day. And when my husband came in the door in his wheelchair, I had to push him up the ramp. And all of a sudden, this really nice gentleman came running down the ramp and pushed Neil up the ramp. That is the kind of blessing that he has been in my life ever since I've been here.
I am very blessed to be able to call George my pastor because he is a bold and courageous voice, not only in the Dallas community, but the entire Christian community, even when what he is saying is not popular with the majority. Thank you so much, George.
George, thank you for reminding us that everyone has a unique place in the kingdom of God. And I'm especially grateful for your affirmation of women, serving as deacons, in lay leadership, and of course in vocational ministry. Thank you, George.
George has encouraged spiritual gifts from all Wilshire members, whether it's teaching, music, writing, organizing, following, or leading. All are welcome, all are worthy.
Pastor George has created an environment at Wilshire in which love and acceptance and spiritual growth is available to everybody.
Under George's leadership, Wilshire started having Wednesday lunch and Bible study. That encouraged people to have a relationship with the ministerial staff. Over the years, I have seen what a blessing and how it has enriched the lives of many senior adults.
It's hard to believe that I've been on staff for almost 20 years, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for George calling the seminary up when I was back at Truett. So it's hard to separate my personal life with my work here at Wilshire. I was single when I came, and I married Alan, was ordained. Caton was baptized and dedicated here. So I'm just so grateful to have this opportunity to work with George and for him to be not only my pastor, but my family's pastor. It's wonderful to work with him and to see the life of our church, and we thank you for all you've done, George.
From a ministerial staff perspective, one of the things I appreciate about George is the high level of trust and confidence that he has in us as staff. George is far from a micromanager. He allows us to do the jobs that we've been tasked to do. We all operate on a very high level of trust with each other, and I think that is probably why we have had such a tradition of long tenured staff members here, is that George allows all of us to grow not only into the ministers but to the people that God has called us to be.
I've had the privilege of working with George for really 30 years in two different churches, Hillcrest Baptist Church and now here at Wilshire for 15 years. I've known George when all of our kids were preschoolers and I had more hair on the back of my head. It's an honor and a privilege to have George as a partner in ministry. Always felt his support for the way that I thought God was calling me to lead in music and worship, and just grateful for the relationship, for the working partnership, and grateful for his leadership here at Wilshire these years.
Within the last 20 years, George has had enough belief in me to grow me into the position that I never thought would be possible.
And in the last 15 years, I have been fortunate enough that George called out the gifts that I have and that I could bring to the table in working with him in the residency program.
We consider ourselves lucky because who else has a friend, a pastor, a pal, a mentor at their fingertips?
Happy 30th, George.
George has been a part of my life and given me wisdom when I was in my youth, and been a key part of my life as he talked about the roles of women in church in my young adulthood, and now as a friend and mentor at this phase of life. He's been there for celebrations and sadness, and his words and his voice are what I think of when I think of church. I'm so glad to have had his love, support, and friendship all along the way.
For 30 years, George has reminded us that being raised to walk in newness of life is not a one-time event, but rather a lifetime commitment to seeing all things new in the Spirit of Jesus Christ.
George has helped many people find their voice by helping them strengthen their relationship with Christ.
George, you were with us on the darkest night of our life, the night that Adam died. You assured us that God had him in his arms at that time in heaven.
George truly has been a man for all seasons for our 4-generation family here at Wilshire. Ever present with his encouragement and assurances of God's love no matter the circumstances.
Thank you, George, for being a true pastor.
Love you, George.
Happy 30th anniversary, Doug. It was a privilege.
No.
Happy 30th birthday, George.
Congratulations on 30 years, George. We've come a long way with you. You married us.
I thought that was Bruce.
Congratulations, George. How many years? Cut it. Happy 60th anniversary.
We wish you an easy life, not a good life.
You even got him to convert from Catholicism.
Yeah.
I thought you were Jewish.
Were you Jewish?
Congratulations! Happy anniversary.
I forgot.
And am I saying retirement?
Don't you wish?